We welcome in ESPN.com's Jeff Borzello, who does it all in college basketball for ESPN. And Jeff, you had your power rankings last week and your Big East preview this week. You said that the Big East has two things that not every league has: stars and experience. How much can that pay off in the most important time of year, March?
I think it's huge. I mean, I think it's going to help them early, too. You know, when these teams sort of start stacking up non-conference wins and really boost that resume, that's going to come in handy on Selection Sunday. The fact that these teams, Xavier, Villanova, Seton Hall, Providence, you know, a lot of these teams are Creighton. You know, a lot of these teams bring back a lot of players from last year. So this is going to help them get wins early. And then come March, it's just going to help them. A lot of these teams have already played in the NCAA tournament before. They have experience. They have winning experience. And at the end of the day, that's what matters in March. It's guard play, it's experience, it's stars, and the Big East has it all.
The conference collectively last year was extremely deep. You said in your column that it might not be as deep and balanced. How much does that say about those teams at the top of the conference, or does it say that those teams in the middle may take a step back?
I think it's a little bit of both. I do think that Villanova, Xavier, Seton Hall, and Providence are probably their own tier at the top of the league. I think Villanova is the favorite. I think Xavier and Seton Hall are right behind them. And then Providence, if healthy, I think they could be in that group chasing Villanova also. And then after that, I do think those teams will take a step back. I think Butler takes a step back, Creighton, Marquette. St. John should take a step forward, but you know we've sort of said that for a few years now, that based on talent, they should be better than where they finished. But I think out of those four teams, I think at the end of the day, you're going to see one or two of them make the tournament. And it's just right now, going into the season, it's hard to project which two of those will be.
Is it almost unbelievable that Jay Wright can lose an NBA draft first-round selection and then one of college basketball's heroes now in Chris Jenkins, and he just seems to be able to reload?
It seems like it's every year. He just has, you know, a next crop of guys ready to step up. At one time, Jalen Brunson was in that next group of guys ready to step up, and this year it's going to be Phil Booth, it's going to be Dante DiVincenzo. I think Amari Spellman is going to be a guy that we talk about a lot. I think he just gives them a different dimension than what Villanova's had in the past. They never really have a guy that they can just throw the ball to down in the post and he could turn and get a bucket. You know, they've had guys, you know, Daniel Ochuku, guys like that. I think Spellman just gives them a different dimension offensively. But, you know, Jay Wright, he just does an unbelievable job just sort of grooming players from year to year where, you know, he can lose Josh Hart, he can lose Chris Jenkins, you know, going back further, he can lose guys to the NBA, and they just don't miss a beat.
Jeff Borzello from ESPN.com, you said that 4 teams should make the NCAA tournament from the Big East, and then from there we shall see. Of St. John's, Creighton, Marquette, and Butler, who would you take?
I think I would take St. John's right now. I just think on paper their talent is just really good. You know, Shamori Pons, Marcus Levette, Bashir Ahmed, they all come back. And then, you know, Justin Simon, Marvin Clark, 2 transfers coming in that sat out last season. Simon from Arizona, Marvin Clark from Michigan State. I think those 5 on paper give St. John's as much talent as anyone in the league. They have depth from last year. I just think, you know, the question with them is when will it translate to wins over good teams? I just think we're waiting to see them bring some consistency to the table. You know, they've had issues rebounding the ball. Defensively, it's been up and down. You know, scoring the ball outside of the big three has been an issue. So I just think there are some questions that have to be figured out. But on paper, I think they're really good. You know, I think Creighton, they might have the best scorer in the league in Marcus Foster. They might have the best defensive player in the league in Kyrie Thomas. So I think that will go a long way. And then Butler's Butler. You know, I do think that they're going to take a step back, new coach, a lot of new players. But, you know, they just always seem to find a way. So I think that right now I'd pick St. John's and then probably Creighton after that. But, you know, I might be a little bit low on Butler going into the year, but they always seem to surprise.
Having said all this, you did say that the conference might be more interesting from a national perspective. Why?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're not going to get a lot of conferences that have 3 of maybe the 10 best players in the country. You know, Jalen Brunson, Trevon Blewett, and Angel Delgado. They're pretty much on every All-American team out there, you know, second team, first team, whatever. And that just makes it very intriguing. You just have that star power, and that makes a difference. You're going to try to watch those guys every night, regardless of who their opponent is. And I just think that shines more of a spotlight on the Big East. And then, like I said, you look at those teams at the top, Villanova, Xavier, Seton Hall, a healthy Providence, and we're talking about 3 or 4 teams that could be playing the second weekend in the NCAA tournament. And that just, to me, that makes it very interesting. You kind of want to watch those matchups. You know, Villanova versus Xavier, Seton Hall versus Xavier. Those are going to be games that that all national people, all national college basketball fans want to see.
Has the conference exceeded your expectations from what you thought it would be 4 years ago when it reconfigured?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I mean, I remember back when it happened, there were questions on, whether the Big East could sort of be in that Big Five, that Power Five conferences in college basketball. There were questions about recruiting and, whether, how Villanova would fare, and once they got to the tournament, how things would be. And I just think they've answered a lot of questions. They sort of ended the debate on how it would be. They're clearly, they're in that top group, that top tier of college basketball conferences. They've been, sort of a top 3 league the past few years. They have, a national title contender every year in Villanova. They have teams make the Sweet 16. They had Xavier make the Elite 8 last year. They have star power. They recruit very well. They're getting, their fair share of top 50, top 100 type players out of high school. So they've definitely exceeded my expectations. There's been very little question or debate now about where they stack up in the college basketball landscape.
You ready for Ewing versus Mullen?
I'm excited, man. I think that's, that's going to be something that, even the neutral college basketball fan, even if those two teams are 12 and 14 at the time, everyone's going to tune in to watch that game.
Jeff Borzello from ESPN.com. You can read him daily and follow him on Twitter as well. Jeff, looking forward to your coverage all season long. Thanks.
No problem. Thank you.